A cold metal door opened. The insect-like being stepped into the inhumanly clean, sterile room. Normally, their race was used to a more organic structure, in tune with their own biology. Human structures, to them, always felt divorced from their creator's physiology. It had been more than a decade since the last humans and Rakions met. The same military leader of the insect-like species walked into the room, but a different human than last time was present. The first human ambassador had died some years prior, during one of the many planetary extinctions. This human wasn't an ambassador. He was likewise a military general, somewhat young for his position, but older, wiser humans were in short supply, given what the war had done. The Rakion leader stood, unable to sit in the human-centric chairs present, possibly a sign of intentional disrespect by the human in front of him. 17 years, the man said. 17 long, brutal years since humans and Rakions met peacefully. The aliens stood there, silent for a moment. The wearable translator devices they had situated around their necks, a small wire feeding into an earpiece, spoke their preferred language to them.
Surely you didn't call for this meeting just to reminisce,
the Rakion said. His strange, fleshy-sounding language could be heard reverberating through the room. Thankfully, the human general had learned to tune out the insect-like chatter and focus on the translation. The human sat there, staring out the window. The surface of a human-colonized world lay just below the viewing port. There isn't much to reminisce about. Most of my memories before the war are just a blur. But I do still remember first contact. The Rakion leader stood there, almost indignantly, letting this smaller being continue on. Breakthroughs in fusion technology allowed us to begin expanding our reach. Years after that, a signal was received. Not human in origin, but intelligent. Weeks, months were spent deciphering your language. But sometime later, one of our colonies is devastated by a long-range weapon. The Rakions show up finally. We give you the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps a mistake, or a misunderstanding. The human's hand balled into a fist. Despite the genocide that happened, we were willing to look past that, forgive the action. We wanted peace. The general paused for a moment. Do you remember what you said to that ambassador all those years ago? He looked at the alien before him, who stood there, his insect-like eyes reflecting the general's image back at him. The Rakion was still, unsure of where this was going. Peace would imply we have something to gain from you. We don't, he said, quoting the words the insect had spoken years ago, staring into the segmented eyes of the Rakion. You left the negotiations, this room, and you began a systematic genocide of humanity, just because there was nothing we had to offer you. The Rakion general's various extra smaller limbs twitched slightly. There was a growing agitation. The general leaned back in his chair, turning back to the window, We pleaded for negotiations, dozens, hundreds of times, and you refused. Yet now you finally agree to this one. The Rakion leader broke his silence.
You are using power you don't understand.
The general smirked. Yes, we do. We understand it. We've been getting killed by it for 17 years. It takes on average 10 of our best soldiers and hundreds of rounds of ammunition to kill one of yours. It took 4,000 men dying and 6 days of ruthless progression to seize one of your outposts. There was a silence in the room. The human looked out into space. The Rakion shifted in his spot. Isn't it interesting how such a relatively small victory can change the tides? One small outpost seized before your men could destroy the technology inside. The Rakion's demeanor was getting more defensive.
We nearly destroyed ourselves when we first invented our weapons. What chance do you think you have?
If you really believe we'll wipe ourselves out, then why did you agree to this meeting? All you have to do is wait for us to kill ourselves with your technology. Then take what you want. You're afraid, just like we were. The alien leader was completely focused on the human, who was not returning the gesture. When we first invented the nuclear bomb, we too nearly destroyed ourselves with them. So many close calls and false positives. But this time, we aren't aiming our weapons at each other. You came here looking for some kind of deal, some kind of mercy, now that we pose a threat to you. The general went silent, letting the Rakion become desperate to hear his response. We will show you the same mercy that you showed us. We'll kill as many of yours as you have ours, with interest. If there's anything left of your kind afterwards, then maybe you can beg us for peace. Despite the inhuman physiology of the Rakion, the human general could see the anger and desperation in his body language. However, I will give you some mercy here. I'll spare you from witnessing the violence we're capable of. The Rakion straightened its back, as if surprised by this vague statement. The human pulled out a handgun from under the table, aimed it at the Rakion, and fired. A beam of energy punched through the insect's personal shield generator, as if it was tissue paper. Laser tore through its exoskeleton and internal flesh with similar ease. The ceiling behind the insect was also scorched slightly from the energy. The first Rakion to be killed with their own technology in this war had been broadcast across human space. The general walked over to the alien and stood over it. With only a few seconds of life left in the Rakion leader, the general spoke. The tides are changing.